Not Quite
Darkness
is a podcast that contains spoilers, opinions, and general. Listener discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls, children of all ages, thank you so much for tuning in for another amazing episode of Not Quite Darkness. My name is Keith Brooks. With me, as always, is Mr. Chad Dowdy. Chad, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm ready to jump right into this awesome franchise.
Awesome. I mean, I can tell you're ready. You're repping Haddonfield already. That's
right.
Oh, it's a Haddonfield High School shirt too. That's fucking awesome. That's awesome. Okay, that's super cool. Yeah, so welcome back to the podcast. We're going to get right back into it. Here's what we do, folks. There is a 29,000 part documentary series called In Search of Darkness that initially chronicles all of the horror movies from the 1980s. And Chad called me and said, hey, let's do watch-alongs with all these movies. And every day I regret that decision. And Chad and I's friendship has never been the same ever since. So today we are talking about the second installment in the classic franchise, Halloween. It's kind of weird talking about Halloween 2 without ever discussing Halloween 1. But that's fine. I mean, it's a classic. We all know it. You know what I mean?
Everyone knows it, and we'll get into it, but we see a little bit of the end of Halloween 1
Yeah.
at this one. So, but like you said, it's definitely a little weird, but that's because it came out in the 70s, and, In Search of Darkness, this particular, one is just the 80s. So, yeah, we're starting with Halloween 2.
Do any of the other Halloween movies do that intro that's the tail end? I mean, I guess Resurrection picks up a little bit of H2O.
Yeah, I don't remember Halloween, but definitely know Friday 13th does it, because 2 is just like
Immediately
Alice
right.
dreaming.
Yeah.
About we see all of Friday 13th part 1 again in the end.
Yeah.
So
I think that would have been the smart move for the Halloween franchise, just to keep doing that, picking up exactly where you left off. 15 minutes of the beginning of the next movie is the end of the last one, and that saves you. Don't have to shoot that shit again. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty fucking solid. Anyway, but let's go ahead and start talking about Halloween 2 once again, starring Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasance, and Michael Myers. So yeah, kick it off, Chad.
Well, you said Jamie Lee Curtis. Barely, I would say. Barely Jamie Lee Curtis in this, but
Well, she's rocking it out. She's doing her like Leo and Wolf of Wall Street routine as she's drugged out and trying to get away.
Yeah, I'd heard that maybe something to do with the contracts or something, where really she didn't want to do this, or she really didn't. They didn't have her that long. She was doing something else. She maybe wanted to go more straight or something like that, and so they didn't have her for a lot.
Gotcha.
I thought I've seen something on that a long time ago. I didn't do any research this time. Don't get me wrong. That's not what we do on this podcast.
No, not at all.
We shoot from the hip.
Yeah, if you're wanting informed information, you came to the wrong place. I heard Halloween 2 was directed by goblins. Yeah, so let's just go with that.
Yeah, so Halloween 2. We're back in Haddonfield. What I love about it is, yes, we do see some of the end of the first movie, but it's still it is really a continuation of the first movie. It's not like we just mentioned Friday 13th, where Alice is dreaming about something that happened months ago or years or whatever.
Or may not have even happened with the boy coming out. Yeah.
That's true. So, again, we get a little bit of the end of Halloween, where the original Halloween, where the kids are running out of the house screaming, and Loomis is just walking down the road. He's been looking for Michael Myers all in the first movie, but these kids are just running down the house screaming, and he's like looking like, I wonder what that is. He's not like really, let me check onto this real fast. He's like, that just sounds weird down there. So, and then we get Jamie Lee. She's in the house with Myers, and Donald Pleasance Loomis comes in, and he shoots Michael Myers.
6 times.
How many times? Yeah, I was gonna say, how many times does he shoot?
He says 6. I never think about counting it because he looks so weird when he takes a shot. He looks like Mr. Magoo, like he's like that sort of thing every time he fires.
He's like 6 times. I shot him 6 times.
He sounds like such a madman when he's that shot later when Michael's watching him and he's talking to the cop. He sounds like Trump. His syntax is so broken. 6 times I shot, man, I shot huge. Like,
I'm gonna tell you, I know Loomis is in like a lot of these movies, but I love him, and
I
I
love him.
love him
He's
so
the
much. In these
best
movies.
part of the franchise, other than one scene in a therapy bathtub thing. But
We'll get to, yeah. He's just so unhinged. I love him so much in this. But he shoots him, and then Michael Myers is gone. He falls off the, whatever, the second story, and he's gone. And then that's where the first movie ends. And then we could do Michael. He's just walking around. He's just chilling. Same night. It's still Halloween. He's just totally fine from these gunshots.
Yeah.
6 times. Maybe
bleeding.
Maybe.
But because he bleeds on a piece of bologna later. That's my favorite thing, is that he breaks into somebody's house and steals their knife. And I just like the idea of Michael Myers wondering, like, fuck, I lost my good knife. I need a new one. Sandwich knife. That's where I'll go.
Yeah, exactly. So he breaks in. Like you said, he steals. He kills the girl in the house. And then we cut to their. Jamie Lee Curtis is now in the hospital, but I don't understand this. Let's see if you know what I'm talking about here. There's a kid that shows up at the hospital with apparently razor blades in his mouth from eating candy.
Oh, really? Oh, I guess, yeah. I mean, it makes sense because when he's coming back out, because that kid has the quickest health appointment I've ever seen in the American health system.
Well, he had razor blades in his mouth. You gotta get him in there.
Still, like, I've seen people in the ER waiting room that have gunshots, and they're
That's
just
true.
like, I've been here for a while. You know what I mean? But like, I guess I always think about it when he's walking in. I always think he has a nosebleed, but then I guess when he's walking out, yeah, that seems like a John Carpenter detail. That is very Carpenter, weird, funny sort of thing.
It was just weird because, again, there's no callback to it
at all.
There's nothing, and I know, whatever the '80s, this was, a craze or whatever.
Yeah.
There razor blades in your candy or whatever. What is it?
Razor blades
Candyman.
in the apple. Yeah.
Candyman Coleman Domingo. He's like razor blades in the candy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's what this was for no reason. It was just odd. So you get Jamie Lee is at the hospital. The doctor is clearly drunk.
Off his ass.
Also for really no reason as well.
Yeah.
It's not like that really comes into play later at all. It's just kind of weird. And the ambulance driver, who is the last Starfighter.
Okay.
Did you watch this movie?
I did. I've never seen Last Starfighter, but that's cool. Yeah, I've never seen it.
Wow. That was like my dream as a kid. It was like, if Goonies could happen to me, which I don't think you've seen that.
If
Goonies could happen to me, that'd have been awesome as a kid. Last Starfighter, that'd have been awesome as a kid.
To me, it was being in this therapeutic tub with this nurse. That was my childhood dream. But it was also like, I played the Last Starfighter Nintendo game, and it sucked balls. And I think that was like, I don't care about watching this movie.
Yeah, I'm not watching this. Sure, yeah. I get it. But the ambulance driver, again, he's the Last Starfighter guy, and I feel like this is like his first day on the job because he is shocked at what he is seeing.
Well, I think he just really wants to bone Laurie Strode. Like, from the beginning, he's like, she goes to high school with my little brother. Damn. Just like licking his lips and keeps breaking into her room and just staring at her and going, hey. And she's so doped up on drugs. She's like, okay. Like,
it's not cool. It's not cool at all.
No.
And again, we have to remember, I know it's Jamie Lee Curtis. She looks like Jamie Lee Curtis. But technically, in this world right now, she's in high school.
Yeah.
And,
but I also think he's probably 19. But there's a lot of, so that could be our problematic age gap. But I also feel Dougie, is that his name? No, Bud.
The Last Starfighter guy?
No, the other guy. But what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
I was like, I didn't do that, but somebody did not. Are we live right now?
I
Somebody's like,
guess so.
I don't like you talking bad about Dougie. There's a thumbs down just popped up on the screen if you didn't see that.
The other guy that doesn't know the melody to Amazing Grace later, that guy,
The dude in the tub?
yeah, the dude in the tub.
Gotcha.
He's super problematic in every way, but I feel like he's around the same age as Last Starfighter guy.
Yeah, I feel like it. So then we've got, Loomis and Sheriff Brackett from the first movie.
Yeah.
They're driving around because they're still trying to find Michael Myers.
Yeah.
He got away. And I like it. They see a dude that like might look like Michael Myers, and they're like, "Is that him?" I don't know. But Loomis is like, "I don't know, but I'm gonna fucking shoot him." Like that's
Well, that
like,
comes later. That comes after they find out about his dog. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
yeah.
They see a man just casually walking down the street, and Loomis is like, "Fuck this motherfucking kid."
Yeah.
And then another cop is like, "Who we fucking? All right, I'll drive into him." And is the most reckless police officer
Yes.
I've ever seen driving. Then he hits him with his car, drives his body into a van, a la Norman Osborn dying in the first Spider-Man movie. Instantly, this kid spontaneously combusts on fire. No one does shit to help him. They just watch a person burn to death.
Absolutely. And then all Loomis is doing, like, is it him? Is it Myers? I need to know right now. Is it Myers? We have to find out.
Well, that's not even the cops are asking him, is it him? Is it him?
Yeah.
And Loomis is like, and that's
yes, that's it.
and nobody
Like, well, I
does.
thought
The
it was
cops
him.
do nothing. Even the police officer that hit him with the car does nothing.
And then another cop, pulls up and he's like, "Hey, Sheriff, you need to come with me. It's your daughter." I don't know if he tells him right then that your daughter's dead, again, from the first movie, but, obviously the sheriff is going to leave in this scenario, but Loomis is right there with him. He immediately, like, doesn't care if this is Myers or not. Like,
Everybody leaves this burning body pinned to a fucking minivan.
And it's not Michael Myers. It is
A kid,
apparently a dude from high school.
a 17-year-old kid that had too much to drink, and they just killed him and left him there for a long time.
He's done. I feel like, though, in the aftermath of all this, when you're explaining what happened and you're like, Michael Myers killed, 8 people in Haddonfield, you're going to add him to the list, like, that Michael Myers killed him. That wasn't us that did this.
Yeah, Michael Myers definitely put a police uniform on, got in a car, and ran down a kid.
Listen, we know from the first movie Michael Myers can drive a car for some reason.
A station wagon, yeah.
So he ran over this kid for sure, just for dressing like him. That's what happened. So, like you said earlier, we're back to the hospital, and the Last Starfighter clearly likes Lori because she is like in shock, maybe concussed, among other things or whatever. And he's just hitting her. And he's like, and he tells her what's up. He's like, "Yeah, Michael Myers, he tried to kill you." Like, that's who it was. Because she didn't even realize
at all
who it was from the first movie.
Which
I
is
don't
a
think
crazy
Loomis said
thought.
at the very end.
Yeah, it's a crazy thought to realize she has no idea who Michael Myers is. And then the other thing too that's sort of weird about that is sort of going back to that when she first gets to the hospital, she's been stabbed in the shoulder, and the drunk doctor is like, "I don't want her conscious ever again." Like, drug her the fuck up. And it's like, "You're giving her stitches, bro." And he's like, "Nope, knock her out. That's what we're doing." So maybe that's where the drunkenness comes into play.
Maybe, but I don't know. But then Loomis and the Brackett, they get to the house. I love this touch. How it's the same night. It is, to a degree, we're still trying to catch Michael, but it's the aftermath of all this terrible things that happened in the first movie. Yeah. I really like this. I really like this as an idea.
Me too.
I love it. So we see, Brackett sees that his daughter's dead, and Loomis and a cop are just clearly having a should be private conversation. Like, this should not be for public consumption. And they're just talking like in front of everyone.
And the extras, like, normally extras pretend to be doing something else so they're not noticeable. You literally see all the background actors going like listening to their conversation.
But to be honest, that does come into play because I guess because later we'll get to it. They go to Myers' house and they're like busting it up. So
Yeah,
again, Loomis has done nothing but really start a panic and got
absolutely.
people killed.
Absolutely.
Literally
Loomis is
gotten
the
a
type to
child killed.
scream fire in the middle of
Yes,
a fucking theater. Like that's what he
exactly.
does.
And it's there might be a fire, but yeah, there's a calmer way
To
to
go about this.
get
Yeah.
everyone out. He's like, oh, fucking get out of here. Like that.
He just like Loomis goes from 1 to 10. Like I could just imagine you. What a great skit it would be. Hey, Dr. Loomis, you want to watch a movie today? Yeah. Sure. What film are we watching? Austin Powers. Oh, who does that star? Mike Myers. Mike Myers.
Yes, he would die. Like he can't
Die
take it
instantly.
So, and then we're back to the hospital, and I love this because the guard has a regular TV and a monitor, and he's not watching either of them. Like neither. He's not paying attention to anything. He does not give a shit. It's so funny. And we also see Michael like walking on the street, and he walks by like a sign that I guess that says like Haddonfield Hospital this way or something like that.
Yeah.
Because again, we wouldn't know where he was heading.
Well, I think
otherwise.
because there's a kid, so there's also like a weird redirect. There's a lot of things that just serve as purposes to get us somewhere else. So we see a kid in a pirate hat or something with a boombox on his shoulder, listening to the news, I think, and he crosses the street, and then we see two women arguing about taking one home. And one's a bitch, like right in this scene. She's like, I'm not going to do that. You can walk. And she's like, please take me home. Jesus Christ. And then, but then from that moment on, the bitchy lady is super fucking nice because we follow her to get to the hospital. And then we follow the pirate kid with the boombox because it's reporting the news about Laurie Strode, which it's weird that you say she was taken to a hospital. You're not supposed to say where victims go, you weird fuckers. But anyway, and Michael runs into him.
Yeah, that's what happened in wrestling. WWE, they stopped saying a local hospital because fans would show up at the hospital thinking the wrestler was there. So they started saying like a local medical facility.
Yeah.
Because it may not be a hospital. Also, I don't remember. I guess they said Lori's name on the thing because
I think so. Yeah.
she's a minor. Is she not? Like, I don't know if they would say that, but
yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of problems with how they operate their policies.
plus the 80s, you didn't have to have a seatbelt. They probably said minors' names all the time. There was no protection.
Nobody questions why Dr. Loomis has a gun that he's pulling on teenagers. And again, they impaled the kid with a car and left him on fire in the middle of the street.
Yeah. Literally, Loomis's only reason for being there is to catch/kill Michael Myers. And you could have just done it. And he's like, I'm out. Like he's gone on to the next quest or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, so now Michael Myers is actually at the hospital, right? Like we see him at the hospital, and Michael Myers, he's really. This is what I want to say about the hospital. As a kid, when I watched this movie, this is the way I thought all hospitals were. So I was terrified of hospitals because it is so dark.
Yeah.
Like all the time. There's no one there. It's clearly almost abandoned.
Yeah.
And there's a killer walking around.
Yeah.
Like that's what I thought of hospitals.
And a really intense cat in a dumpster that tackles a grown-ass man.
Yes. And so the last Starfighter guy, he's talking to Lori or whatever, and the nurse comes in. And I love it. This is the way she's acting. She's acting like he always does this.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's on every single female that we bring in. That is what she's giving in this scene.
Absolutely. It's so like nuanced too. It's like she's rolling her eyes through every single second of her dialogue, just trying to get this fucker out of this room.
Yes. Like that told me everything I needed to know.
Yeah.
Right there. I was like, okay, this guy's shitty.
Yeah.
Clearly. He does it to all the girls or whatever. So the guard heads outside to like look around. I don't even know why he's looking around. I don't remember, but he's looking around. And like you said, there's the obligatory cat scare, with him. And he sees that someone has broken into the hospital shed, and he goes into the shed and looks around. And he like buzzes back to the nurse with his walkie-talkie, and he's like, somebody needs to drive down to the sheriff's office to tell him about this. This is the same nurse that earlier they asked her to walk down the hall to go get the doctor, and she acted like it was the worst thing in the world.
Absolutely.
There's no way in hell she's driving to the sheriff's office.
But it's also like convenient that this walkie-talkie is working wonderful, except for those words, except for drive to the sheriff's office. Like everything else comes clear. He recites the dictionary 4 times forward and back. She hears every word, but just those 3. I think the minute he said, you need to go to, she just turned it off for a second and then turned it back on.
Yeah, she was like, if somebody's telling me I need to do something, I ain't listening.
Not listening.
Like, clearly. So Michael Myers kills the guard. He's dead. You know, we're ratcheting up the body count a lot more in this one than the first movie. And then we're we're at the morgue where Loomis is, you know, looking at the body, and they're trying to determine, is this actually Michael Myers?
Yeah.
It's inconclusive, Keith. We don't know if it's Michael
even
Myers.
Though the doctor says, oh, he's 17, and Loomis is like, Michael Myers will be 21. It could be him. It's like, no, it couldn't. You just said the reason. It's not him.
He wants it to be him, but he knows in his heart it's not.
Yeah.
So now the town is vandalizing the Myers house. This is some straight up Evil Dies Tonight kind of stuff right here, Keith.
Absolutely. I like, that was my exact thought when I was watching it. Like, this is where they got that, except for this movie does it better. But yes, that's fine. Yeah.
Especially when, you know, again, this one takes place largely in a hospital.
Yeah.
Similar to, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So then some of the kids tell the cops, hey, my friend's missing or whatever. We think he was like drunk or whatever. And they say his name's Ben Tramer. And if I'm remembering correctly, in the first movie, I think that's who Lori had a crush on, or at least they were making fun of her about liking Ben Tramer.
Oh, that sucks. I never put that together. That's intense.
Yeah.
That's it. I thought the thing that was intense was Loomis's face as they're describing the kid, because they're like, yeah, our 17-year-old friend was wearing a mask. He was 5'11" and hated when British men chased him with a gun. And Loomis is just like,
He's starting to put it together. I don't think that was Michael Myers on the slab, guys. So shoot. We still got work to do. But they don't what's funny is they don't really say, oh, we might have killed that guy. You know what I mean? They don't really tell those kids anything. But, oh, I'm sure he'll be fine. He's probably in his bed. Just go check it out.
Yeah.
So, now, back at the hospital on the drugs, Lori's sleeping, and she remembers, you know, I guess her, quote, mother saying, you know, I'm not your real mother, which I saw this when I was a kid, but I feel like Playground Talk already knew all this before I even watched Halloween 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So none of this is a reveal
to you,
me.
But at the time, yeah.
Absolutely. At the time, they're like, what is going on with all this? So it's just, I do feel like it's kind of a weird, it's not weird that Michael Myers is her brother. Spoiler, as we'll get into. It is weird kind of how that they reveal it so nonchalantly in little pieces that don't really, it's not like, oh my gosh, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Agreed. And I also feel like the reveal, it always looks to me, because it's kind of stylized like the backstory of Freddy Krueger's mom in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. It's shot with the same sort of white glossy vignette. So I've always sort of equated those two in my mind. And then, you know, in addition to that, her mom's just kind of a bitch with the way she says, I'm not your real mother.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of harsh the way you're doing that, lady.
Because I feel like the way she's saying is like, look, I've told you 100 times.
Yeah.
I'm not your mom, okay?
What are you, slow? Like, that's the implication there.
And presumably, I guess that, I'm just guessing here, that her adopted mother maybe knows the history. So it's like,
yeah,
you know, you're just being mean. Whatever.
And also, like, we never see the parents come back for Lori, do we?
No, not at all.
Just
Not
shitty
mentioned at all.
parents all around.
Yeah. Because she was babysitting. It's not like her parents were out of town. She was the
Yeah.
one babysitting. So you would think that her parents, if they hear on the news that, or the cops tell her parents, I never even thought about it till right now.
Yeah.
Like, would the cops not tell her parents what's going on? Why
Well,
would her parents not be at the hospital?
one of the nurses says we're trying to get a hold of your parents.
Oh, they do say that.
Yeah, but I don't, we never see where they are. And I'm trying to think about in the beginning of the first one, are they leaving to go somewhere?
I
Or
definitely don't remember.
I don't remember either. I just know her adopted dad does real estate because that's what the one
He owns the house, right? Or he's trying to sell the house. Is
trying
that
to
what it
sell
was?
the house, and
Yeah.
that's what the one ambulance driver says. Like,
Oh.
but also the first ambulance driver, Bud or whatever his name is, like, hey, that girl, you know her? And it was like a weird lead-in question, like, oh yeah, I'll give exposition. He names her.
Well, speaking of old Bud, him and a nurse sneak off.
The nurse that was bitchy about dropping her friend off earlier is now the sweetest person in the world, and I'm in love with her. But we'll talk about why momentarily.
Well, I can guess why, because they get in the therapy tub and boobs right away. We see them.
Jesus Christ. Like, there are distinctions in pornography throughout the years where you're like, oh, there's certain trends. This woman is perfection on earth. Like, have you ever had one of those moments where you just stare at someone and you realize how lonely of a person you are? That's what my feeling was looking at this beautiful woman. So yeah, that's that.
Well, so that's your feelings on the boobs, but then like, I don't, maybe the water's getting too cold or something, but
Too hot.
But too hot. So he's got to get out and check it. So we see his butt. So what do you think about his butt? Is it perfection as well?
I mean, also, this is the unrealistic portion because when have you ever been in a shower with a woman and they're like, oh, it's too hot? Not true. That never fucking happens. Women can bathe in lava and be absolutely fine. So I'm calling bullshit on this part. This is where I'm out of the movie. This is where I know something's wrong, is when she says she's too hot.
Well, it almost leads you that she never wanted to do anything because she
totally possible. She gets right out. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, it's too hot. Now she's putting her clothes back on. I got to go back to work, kind of deal.
Yeah, yeah.
So
but then why would you get into the tub in the first place, like, and get nude and everything?
Listen, she had second thoughts, Keith. Like,
That's
she
fine.
saw his butt and was like,
yeah,
I'm a better looking body than he is.
It's true.
I'm not going down.
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
So he goes to check on the heat, and Michael Myers kills him.
Michael Myers does so in an awkward way because naked homeboy is standing here and Michael Myers doesn't come up from behind him. He comes up beside him and just stands there for too long of a moment before grabbing him. And I'm not interested in penis, but I kind of slowed it down for a second just to see if I could see any wiggles in the wind or anything like that. I didn't really tell anything.
You took it frame by frame?
Yeah, but they're kind of far away. You know what I mean? But Michael just stands there for a little bit too long. But he might not have ever seen another person's penis in his life. He has been locked up for a long time.
He's 100% seen Loomis's penis. 100%.
100%.
Yes.
I don't know if in asylums like Smith's Grove, they have communal showers, or would he have his own private shower? I don't know that.
Well, if you're going by Halloween 2018, he's like chained up all the time.
All the time.
So, I would think that might be separate showers for that situation. Then after he kills the dude, he goes in and he drowns / burns, kills the girl.
Here's the thing about this scene. So before this, he's tampered with the tub that they're in, and he's turned it into the red mark. I don't know what degree that is. It kind of looked like it said 600, like he was turning them into boiled pasta.
Yeah. Like,
But
how is that even a setting?
absolutely, like, why would you have that? Don't let it go that far.
Yeah.
Why would you need that ever? Like, hey guys, we're gonna use
That
this.
tub goes up to 11, right?
Yeah, we're gonna use the therapy tub for minestrone this weekend, so we need to jack it up. But he holds her head underwater, and her face burns off. She's got like blisters forming on her skin.
Yep.
This is why you know he's a psychopath, because he doesn't even flinch, because his hand's in the water too. He's holding her under, and he's just like, not that hot, bitch. Whatever. That's a rough fucking guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Keith, I don't know if you noticed this. He's been shot 6 times.
Oh yeah, 6 times the man, huge.
So now Loomis and a cop are at the schoolhouse, and there's again clues here. You just putting it all together, and some random lady shows up, and I guess she's from the asylum, and she's like, "You fucked everything up here. You've got to go back."
Let's rewind. I'm sorry I keep doing this. Let's take 2 steps back.
No, you're fine.
Why the fuck did he? I'm so confused about the school scene. A, I don't know why he broke into the school in the first place. B, there's no way that's his picture that he drew of his family, because that would have been 20 years ago. Why would that still be there? So he just took some random kid's picture and is like, I need one with his sister. None of them have 2 sisters. Fuck. They'll get it. and then why does he draw Sam Hain on just to fuck with Loomis? Like, Loomy will get this, and he's the only one that would understand that. Like, I don't know why he did this. He's not the Riddler. He's not trying to get caught.
So I'd heard that John Carpenter did not want to do a sequel to Halloween.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if he's just phoning this in, quite frankly.
Well, I think he only wrote part of the story. He didn't direct it. But I also wonder if this is where they get the idea for the cult later on.
It's been a long time since I've seen this, but when I'm seeing this Sam Hain, I was like, oh, they brought this in way early.
Yeah.
The cult thing. I thought that was like 4 or 5, before.
That's like where they really talk about it. But this one, that's all that's acknowledged of it. But,
But I can kind of see how, again, whether you love them, hate them, or indifferent, the David Gordon Green Halloweens.
Yeah.
They only go with the first movie, and they even get rid of this because there's some crazy stuff in it. Obviously, Michael Myers and her being brother and sister, but some of this other stuff is out there. So, I mean, I can definitely see why, if they're doing that, they like, listen, the first movie was perfect. They didn't get in any kind of backstory, anything crazy like that. We'll just hop off from there. Yeah. So, I mean, I get it as far as that goes. Then guess where the last Starfighter is, Keith? He's back in Laurie's room.
Yes.
Like, I feel like, people are getting killed. People have been, there's a dude like on fire. Like, the paramedics probably needed today. I don't feel like there's a bunch of paramedics. Your buddy's already dead, by the way.
And there's a shit ton of people that have been injured in this town, and this hospital's empty. You think more people would be coming to the hospital especially if somebody's putting razor blades in fucking candy.
Yes.
Like,
razor blades in the candy. Like, the place is going to be full.
Yeah.
At least David Gordon Green, it was a full ass hospital.
It was also a hospital with lights on, but apparently in Haddonfield in the 80s, you had to save that power bill.
So he's back in the room, but Laurie, is she dead? Because he's like checking her pulse or something, and the nurse comes running in, and then she goes to get the drunk doctor, and the drunk doctor is dead.
Well, before we even get that, she hears a shower going, and she's like, ooh, I'm gonna sneak a look at that dirty drunk doctor's dick. And so she goes to get into the shower. He's not there. He's drunk looking at a aquarium, but he's not drunk. He's dead looking at the aquarium with a syringe above his eyeball. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like he got stabbed in the eye with a syringe or something.
Yeah. And then Michael Myers shows up behind her, kills her. Meanwhile, Loomis is in a car with a cop, a marshal, that's escorting him back to Smith's Grove, and another doctor who tells him the big revelation.
Yeah, they got the like there's a secret file.
Mhm.
And Loomis, again, maybe rightly so in this case, freaks the fuck out.
Mhm.
And he's like, we gotta get to the hospital right now. That's clearly where he's going.
Pulls a fucking gun on the marshal,
Yes.
and
He
then
pulls a
just
gun on him.
and then blows the window out as they're going down the street. And I love the marshal just going, okay, and then just turns the fuck around.
And then Michael actually, because again, Lori's like knocked out, passed out from the last time we saw her. Michael goes into her room and he like stabs the pillows, but that's all it is. It's pillows. She has
She has
somehow
escaped.
got out of the room, snuck out for not really a reason, in the sense that like she doesn't know Michael Myers is there necessarily. She's not
Yeah.
like trying to get away from a bad guy. I guess it's just in a drug haze. She snuck out of her room. Like, it's not really explained.
It's not really clear. Also, a thing that's not really clear. So I think this is when the last Starfighter guy has his thing. But is this the only thing that happens to him? He goes into the morgue, try to find somebody.
Yep.
There's a body with clearly blood all over
over the floor.
You can see it. He's looking at the blood all over the floor. It's well lit enough that we can see
Yes.
it, so he should be able to see it.
Yes.
And then he goes to turn, and banana peel slips on the fucking floor. Is that all that happens to him
We see him later. He shows up,
in the car?
yes, and passes out. But that's it.
But it's from him. It's from himself being a dumbass and giving himself a concussion.
That's correct. He doesn't fight Michael or anything like that. He's knocked himself loopy by slipping on the blood that everyone can see.
And that everyone can see. Okay, cool. Okay, making sure.
And again, the blood, I can't stress this enough. It's virtually covering the entire floor.
Yeah.
It is not a little tiny, oh, I might have missed that. It is a huge thing of blood.
And he investigates said blood that he's walking on before turning around and trying to just whoop. And then,
Yeah, knocks himself out. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
And then there's one last nurse that hasn't been like killed. And she tries to leave, but all the tires have been slashed, or at least her car, or the car she was going to leave. But Michael actually kills her in front of Lori this time. So Lori now sees it.
Now sees her, but it's because she's walking back in and she sees Lori, like Hunchback of Notre Dame, crawling through the fucking thing, clearly trying to be secretive. And instead she goes, hey, Laurie Strode, born on August 14th, 19. Hey, Laurie
Sister
Strode.
of Michael Myers.
Yeah, exactly. And then Michael Myers is like, huh? And then walks out, uses the smallest scalpel in the world, lifts her body up into the air with it like a fucking G, and just like looking at Laurie the entire time. And
and then he goes after Lori. So you get a little bit of a chase scene, but Lori actually gets out of the hospital. She makes it out, and this is when Loomis actually finds out. About here's the secret file, and so now Loomis is speeding to the hospital, and everyone is dead except for Lori and maybe Last Starfighter. You don't necessarily know because he knocked himself out like a freaking moron.
Well, this is when she gets into his car, and then he Last Starfighter comes out. This is when he passes out onto the horn of the car.
Yes, letting everybody know, Michael included.
Yeah.
Hey, we're out here or whatever.
Yeah.
But he passes out, and then Loomis, the marshal, the lady, they show up at the hospital. And I like stuff like this in movies anyway, when she sees them and they're far enough away and she's trying to yell for help, but she can't get it out. She can't scream.
And she's still hurt and she's still drugged.
Yes.
It's great combo.
And she's trying to say, help me, but like they can't hear her, and they rush into the hospital, and she is outside in like the parking lot of the hospital. So I really like stuff like that in movies. It's pretty cool. Then Michael shows up out there. Lori gets into the hospital. She makes it back into the hospital, but Michael is right behind her. And Loomis shoots him again. He's laid out right there in the hospital.
But I do like before even the reuniting, they get into the hospital and it's Dr. Lady, Dr. Loomis, Marshall guy, and then Loomis is like barking orders, like I want you to go that way, Marshall guy, and the Marshall guy's, well, wait a second, and then Loomis just points the gun at him. It's like, fucker, I said go that way. like goddamn, Loomis, calm down.
So he shot this other guy, and again, I hate this. Again, I know it's a movie. When you get so close to the quote dead body, you know that like you have guns, you know.
But I do love that moment because Marshall guy tries to get close to Myers, and Lou was just like, "Get away from him!" And you shot him, sir. And he's like, "He's still breathing." And then Loomis gets distracted for 2 seconds, and Marshall McCurious gets closer to the body. What are you doing beside Michael Myers? We stopped breathing for a second. Stab in the throat. The longest fucking throat slash I've ever seen in my life. Loomis had time to empty 7 clips in this motherfucker while he was slitting this guy's throat.
But he doesn't shoot him at all. They run off.
Oh, and when they run away, you have a gun in your hand.
I don't have any notes about this. What happened to the lady?
Oh,
I don't remember at all.
Doesn't she run out for help or
Did
something?
she get killed right there too with the cop?
Oh,
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think she
Loomis
runs
and Lori run off together without her.
Yeah, I think she goes to get help or something.
Okay, so maybe she's going to get help. We'll just say that because I don't know. But Michael catches up to him and he stabs Loomis.
Mm-hmm.
And Loomis shoots him in the head, in the eye, and now Michael Myers is like, stumbling around. He can't see.
Well, doesn't Lori stab him or something first?
Maybe. I don't remember.
It's a lot of stuff. I just know that once he can't see, he starts hacking away blindly and he becomes a kung fu film because all the noises become, because normally his stabs would just be realistic, but now it's whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Yeah, that's true. So then Loomis and Lori turn on all the gas in the room that they're in. And she runs out, and Loomis hits his lighter and blows the room up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop right there for just a second. There's a scene earlier in the film, for no reason, like Loomis was like playing with a lighter for some reason, So it's a little Chekhov's lighter as far as that goes, because I don't remember him with a lighter in the first movie. But he can have a lighter. It's not really necessary. You don't have to show us that he had a lighter.
Yeah,
earlier in the
he
film.
lights
It's
the
so weird
sheriff's cigarette or something like that.
Yeah.
And they just do like 4 more lights of it.
They're like, hey, check this out. I've got a lighter, guys. Like, that's what he's doing.
Exactly.
It's so weird. So the other piece is this. So I've seen these movies a lot of times. Obviously, Loomis is in the rest of the movies. How do they explain that in 4?
He like half of his face is burned.
But so that's it though. Like he survived with, again, just a little bit of a burn face.
Well, I think it's a pretty bad burn face because I think it's also, and again, we did no research on this, so I'm going to say this. I kind of always thought as a young kid, I think Donald Pleasance actually had a stroke, and they covered up part of it, the paralysis, with the burn makeup. Because he's also walking around with a limp hand and stuff like that. And I think he's only in 4 after this.
No, he's in 6 as well, for sure.
6 is Paul Rudd.
Yes, but it's also Loomis.
Let me see.
I think he's in 4, 5, and 6. He's in 4, 5, and 6, dude.
I think he gets killed off in one of those.
6. He gets killed off in 6.
Is Dr. Sam Loomis in? But that doesn't count. That says 8 out of the 13, but that includes the fucking other ones. Let me just look up Donald Pleasance on IMDb.
Yeah, that's it. He's in, well, Yeah, if you're counting
all the remakes.
the remakes too, because what's his face?
And he's also in Halloween Kills or whatever.
Yep.
It's taking me longer than I thought it would. Sorry.
I just feel like he is in 4, 5, and 6. I'm almost positive he is.
So definitely Halloween 2. You Only Live Twice. The Curse of Michael Myers is his last.
That's 6. Curse is 6.
Really?
Yep.
Damn it. I guess you're right.
You suck.
I do suck. Yeah, he's in 5. He's in 4. Return, Revenge, Curse.
And Curse. Yeah.
I guess you're right.
So, I guess they explained that. But again, it seemed like the whole place blew up big time.
Yeah.
But, Michael survived. So I guess Loomis could too.
Yeah. But, especially if you shoot him 6 times.
Exactly. So Michael stumbles out. He's on fire and he falls down. And then they are taking Lori to another hospital. And it's daytime now. Halloween's over. As we just see Michael burn. The end.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks for coming, everybody. No, what are your thoughts on the movie?
So I'm going to take my Letterboxd score first, then I'll get into it. It's a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay.
The original Halloween is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. And I love the idea of a lot of this. I love the fact that it's the same night. It is legitimately a full-on continuation of the first movie, same night. I love that so much.
Me too.
As an idea. And I remember even like as a kid liking the idea that they were brother and sister too. It just added another layer to it that I thought was pretty cool. So while it does have some issues, like Lori's barely in it. As far as that goes. But again, there could have been behind the scenes reasons for that. And there's just several things that just don't make a lot of sense that they don't come back to at all. Like the drunk doctor, the razor blades, things like that. And, when you're talking about the schoolhouse scene, it's really almost unnecessary as far as so it has some problems, but it's got the music. It's still Michael Myers, I like it.
I like it a lot. Like, to me, on my Letterboxd, it's 5 stars, as is the first one. But I feel like it's such a great building block to the first one. Same here. I love that idea of this is literally moments after, not even moments after. We pick up in the middle of where we left off. Like, and to just go that same night. The tagline for the first one is always "the night he came home," and this just continues that night. And how shitty of a fucking night it is for Laurie Strode. Like, even if she's barely in it, part of it she's drugged and unconscious and still having to fight for her life. So that just shows you how much of a badass she is. And the same way, I guess I always knew they were brother and sister. It's just like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker.
Right.
It's always been a part of my consciousness, so I don't know when I found that out, but it's never been a shock to me that that's the revelation here.
Right.
But I've always loved the style of it. A lot of the kills have always stuck out to me. The bathtub scene, obviously, the nurse being picked up, obviously, like those are great iconic moments to me. And I think, like, if you would have just left Halloween at the first one, it would have been a great thriller with so much mystery to it. This kind of cements Michael Myers' place, though at the same time it detracts from the creepiness to a degree because it gives him a motivation. He's a family annihilator, even though we don't know exactly why. There is this mystique about nothing stops him. He's going to keep going no matter what, and he is just this killer thing. So I don't know. I've always loved this one. Well,
I also like the idea of typically you think about horror movies, and especially real life too. Once the police have shown up and they've taken you to the hospital, you're safe.
Yeah, that's the end of the movie normally, and this just the beginning of the sequel.
Yeah,
like and that's sort of fun,
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. So I like it. I'm a fan of this one for sure.
Me too. Me too. So we do two things on here. We make our Funko Pops, and then we do a remake of the film. Let's do Funko Pops first. What do you want from this one?
So there's a few different Michael Myers pops
Yeah.
out there. So in this one, I'm going with Loomis. I just love
Oh
Loomis so much.
yeah,
Give me Loomis holding his gun out,
absolutely. That's
that's the pop.
great. That's a great one. I have two that I would really want. One is well, three. One's a bathtub scene, but we're not going to talk about that. The other one is Michael Myers with the scalpel holding the nurse up in the air.
Oh, that's cool.
That would be dope. Or the other one would be a flaming 17-year-old kid trapped between two cars. Just as like nobody would ever get what it is, but I would love it. Like, and just like Loomis, like in the corner or something.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
So now remake. What are you doing?
Again, this is tough because there is a remake, literally, of Halloween 2.
There's kind of technically two of them, but yeah.
I mean, Halloween, the Rob Zombie Halloween 2, she's in the hospital for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then again, Halloween
Kills.
It's the aftermath, and she's not. So, I mean, they've done it. So I don't really know what I would do other than doing like a straight remake. But my recasting would be for Jamie Lee Curtis, would be Catherine Newton. I love her.
Awesome.
But Loomis would be Mads Mikkelsen. I want him to go crazy.
Good.
And if you don't do if you don't do a straight remake, make it a series. And we're just Loomis is just solving cases. It's kind of like Hannibal, but like Hannibal is smart and reserved. You know what I mean?
Loomis is bonkers and
all
instinctual.
The time. He shows up and he makes shit worse. Always. Most of the time. That's what I want to see. He shows up, like you said, he's yelling fire everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
And I would love for like half the time, that's not it at all. Like, he's a crazy person on his descent. That's what I'd like to see. Mads Mikkelsen do it.
I love the fact that Loomis is, you would see him in any of these scenes and you would go, he's a doctor? Like, this is the person he's supposed to care for. Yeah, like I had apprehension about like, I don't want to remake this movie because there's already been 9,000 Halloween remakes.
Right.
But if I had to, I would do it as a kind of like TV series, mini series. So each season would be like 3 or 4 episodes, and I would have the first 2 seasons come out a year apart. And then every season beyond that, we're waiting 3 years before we make it. Just so we can do the entirety of the Halloween franchise, but delving into some of these loose ends and explaining the Sam Hain thing. I'm going to bring that cult in. I'm not going to necessarily have it the way it was before, but I'm going to have the Cult of Thorn be a thing from the fucking beginning to a degree. And so that way we're exploring some of those other elements. And so my cast would be for Laurie Strode, Alvia Allen Lind. She's in the Chucky TV series.
I like her.
Mm-hmm. So that would be my Laurie Strode, and then my Dr. Loomis would be Matthew Good from Watchmen, Ozymandias, because I would love to see how far he could push it. He's kind of weird in Abigail. He plays Dracula at the end of it. And I just want to see some of that weird vibe. And that way too, they're both at an age where we can see them grow. So hopefully we get to a 20-year mark and be able to do the H2O storyline. So yeah, that's my thing.
Yeah, that's good. Yep, all for it.
So speaking of all for it, what are we watching next time?
We're finally going to do it, Keith. We're finally going to watch the final movie from 1981 on the list, The Howling.
Fuck yes! Is it on something right now?
No, but we'll see in November. We'll watch it. We will definitely watch it. It's the last one in 1981, so we'll finish out the decade, and we'll rank all of the 1981 movies after we finish Halloween. And then we also have coming up, probably in about a week, maybe 2, where we will do our 31 for 31, where we talk about all the horror movies we have watched.
Absolutely. We'll probably, I'm guessing 31 for 31 will come out before Howling, but we'll do Howling before the end of the year. we can close off 1981, until we get to the second In Search of Darkness. But I'm excited because everybody out there knows how much Chad loves werewolf movies.
I do not.
And he's super excited about Wolfman, the Universal one. And I think Frank Grillo has a werewolf movie coming out.
I do like Lewa now, so we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. So I'm stoked about that. I'm stoked about The Howling. Can't wait to sink our teeth into that. So Chad, in the meantime, where can the people find you?
On Twitter, NQC Podcast.
Oh, gotcha. That's awesome. And if you're looking for me, you can find me in the Not Quite Darkness.
Peace.